Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. I'm so happy you're here. I'm happy you showed up. Thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today for the comprehension course. I'm glad you took this opportunity. Now, this course, I promise you, it's going to be revelational, it's going to be expository, it's going to be mind blowing, all right? And I intend to read all of your feedback after the completion of this course. I intend to read, I really want to read your feedback because I'm so certain that you're going to gain a lot from this course. So cheers to your smooth learning. Let's take this ride together. Now, why must you take this course seriously? I need to also state that the fact that you started this video with me means you should complete it. Okay, so and if you don't complete it, it doesn't speak so well. Now, I understand that a number of people begin things and they find it very difficult to complete them. Well, I'm guilty as well. Okay, yes, I'm guilty. So, but I want you to understand that this course, it doesn't, taking this course does not really mean that you can't comprehend. So you don't want to say, oh, but I can comprehend, so why do I have to finish this? No, no. This course is not just saying, oh, you can't comprehend. No, it's actually meant to expose you to the techniques of faster and accurate comprehension. So it's not just to expose you to what comprehension is all about, but it's also meant to expose you to the techniques of faster and accurate comprehension. So whether you're an adult or a teenager, this course will help your reading and your thinking and your listening skills. Okay, so it's gonna do lots of things for you. It's also gonna help you navigate the stormy waters of complex or long boring texts. I understand that this can be a lot of problem for some people. Yes, when you have long, boring text, okay, and you're trying to really grasp what the text is saying. Okay, so this course will help you navigate your way around it, and it's also going to save you from social media embarrassment. Trust me on this one. I see this happen almost every hour. There's no day I go on social media that I don't feel embarrassed for some people. Yeah, because they haven't been able to comprehend the post, and sadly, they are in a hurry to make a comment. Okay, so taking this course and completing it are great steps in the right direction. So, please, I want you to continue with me on this course. Okay, next to my next slide quickly. Who am I? Well, I'm Deborah Nifoshi. I'm a diction coach with years of results. I've worked with schools in Lagos and Ibadan as a part-time phonics, and some schools say diction, some call it elocution. I'm cool with either. Okay, as I've worked as a coach, all right, for this subject. I'm a writer. I write web, blog content, stories, and articles. I'm also a media producer, so I voice documentaries, advert jingles, and I host corporate and business events. I edit and I proofread write ups. And as a serial entrepreneur, you can see me today selling yam flour, and the next month I'm selling children wears. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually very passionate about business. And my company, Tall Legacy Concepts, is registered with the federal government of Nigeria. She's also licensed to publish books. I have a book series for kids in kindergarten, um, up until basic six, that's final year of primary school. Yeah, so these books are used in all schools that I consult for, and it is called my speech sounds. All right, so that's basically who am I. Okay, I'm also a mom and a wife. All right, okay, let's hit the ground running. Let's go to why we're here today. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is what is comprehension. What is comprehension? Okay, let's look at our course outline before we do that. Now, in Module 1, we're talking about the introduction, which is what is comprehension, factors that affect comprehension, signs of comprehension, difficulty. And in Module 2, we'll be talking about the various comprehension skills, types of comprehension, questions, strategies that aid comprehension. And then at the end of this course, there will be a worksheet attachment sent to your mailbox, all right? That is going to help you know if indeed you got value from this class, if indeed something has changed as a result of attending this class. All right, so like I said, this class is going to be loaded. It's that's a promise. All right, okay, so get your writing part and let's go. What is comprehension? What do we mean by comprehension? Comprehension is the ability to understand the thoughts of the communicator, writer, or speaker perfectly. So when you understand what I had in mind while I was writing what I wrote, it shows that you have been able to comprehend. Comprehension can also mean the ability to relate or interpret words in their appropriate context. All right, when you can actually relate words in the context that they belong to, then that shows that you have comprehended. Comprehension can also just mean thorough understanding. Okay, so it can mean either of this, and of course there are so many other definitions, but we'll stick with these three as for this class. All right, so quickly we're going to factors that aid comprehension. What helps comprehension? What might not help comprehension? Okay, so factors that affect comprehension rather. Okay, the first factor I'll be discussing here is difficulty in processing and visualizing. Now, actually, this factor can be traced to a neurological disorder, and that means a disorder that affects the brain. That's just the sum total of that. And this disorder could be genetic, it could be developmental. Genetic means it could have been inherited, or there was a developmental issue, maybe during the formation of the fetus in the womb, or when the baby was even born. So this can affect the way the brain processes words. All right, and as we go along in this course, you're going to see that visual power is very necessary in comprehension. So someone who has neurological disorder or defects might not be able to visualize as fast or as good as someone who doesn't have that issue. Okay, so someone who has difficulties processing, visualizing, of course, would also have issues with comprehension. Secondly, we have another learning, we call this learning disability. Now, this learning disability is called dyslexia. Now, dyslexia, you might have heard that thrown around, a number of people don't even know they have it. A lot of adults have gone undiagnosed of dyslexia. They didn't know that was the problem they had at that time. Okay, so but dyslexia is a form of learning ability that affects relating sounds to letters. As a dictionary coach, I can tell you that I understand this better. While I might not be able to diagnose it because I'm not trained for that. I'm not trained to do that. While I might not be able to solve it because I'm not also trained to do that, but I see this happen every day on daily basis as I move from school to school. Okay, so a child who has dyslexia, an adult, a young person, a teenager who has dyslexia will find reading difficult, and it would also find comprehension more difficult. So someone who has dyslexia will find it difficult to identify the sounds in words. Now let me explain this way. for instance, when we try to teach little kids how to spell with their sounds, we say, for instance, a child wants to spell dad. Now, dad, you can hear the sound. That shows that there's a D somewhere there, and d, dad at the beginning. Oh. Okay, that's the next sound. And the last sound there should be d again. So it's d, d. But someone who has dyslexia would not be able to process that sound. So when you're saying d, that child is most likely processing maybe something like m. So you're not operating on the same frequency. So that's what dyslexia does to those who have it. So, and someone who has that problem will definitely be lagging behind in comprehension matters. Another thing is what we call ADHD. ADHD just simply means attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Okay, in this part of the world, we've been able to say, oh, kids who are restless, we've just been able to categorize them under restlessness. Okay, but the psychologists say, well, we might have a name for it. It might not even be natural. It might not be something that should, that should be normal. All right. So, and they believe that those who have this have a short attention span. They're easily distracted, of course, because they are restless. They can't sit still for a while, so they have to move on. They have to move on to the next available chore or activity. Are you following? Okay, so someone who has this who has ADHD and oftentimes is always diagnosed by pediatrician in a hospital. All right, it's not something you just open your mouth and say, oh, this child. No, it doesn't work that way. There are some parameters that must have been consistent for a child to be diagnosed of ADHD. All right, so another factor that affects comprehension is what I call poorly developed skills and language skills and strategies. Oh, I wish I can do a course on this one right now. You know, we joke around with our vocabs, our synonyms, our homophones, our antonyms. All of those things can affect comprehension. That's the truth. Okay, when you don't understand what figures of speech refers to, you can spot a metaphor. You can't even spot sarcasm. I see this on social media all the time. Someone will make a sarcastic comment and people won't understand that was a sarcastic comment there. And they go bombarding the person with nasty use of language. Some even curse out the person, and the person was just being sarcastic. I mean, sometimes I feel like, is sarcasm that difficult for you to detect? I feel sarcasm is is the easiest figure of speech to detect. But hey, well, maybe it's just easy for me. Maybe it's not so easy for some others. Now, when your language skills are poorly developed, it's gonna give you a lot of problem. Trust me. Recently, I'm going to cite about two examples here. One day I was reading a write-up by Chimamanda, and she used the word in a write-up, platitude. That word was so strange, but because I didn't want to stop. Now, that's what poor language skills does to you. You might force yourself to stop so that you go and check the dictionary, because sometimes if you don't know the meaning in that context, you might not be able to move on. Are you getting me? You might not be able to move on, so you're stuck because the meaning of that word it relates with everything the text is all about. Fortunately for me, though, that text that I was reading that day, platitude, had got nothing to do with the meaning, the context, the contextual meaning, so I could understand the message that the writer was passing. But I was curious, so after I was done, I went to the dictionary checked the meaning of platitude, and I was like, I released a loud is like, is this what it meant? I'm not going to tell you. You go and find out yourself. Platitude. All right. Now, so talking about language skills. Okay, let me also cite this other example of what meaning can we have certain words, a word that has several meanings, and they can be used in different contexts. Oh, let me also add, if you don't know what part of speech, if you think part of speech are insignificant, don't joke with those things. For instance, the word sense, SINCE, can be a preposition, at the same time it can be a conjunction. So it's your knowledge of the part of speech that will be able to tell you the function that they are performing in that text for you to know if this is a preposition or a conjunction. Let me repeat myself in case you missed that. Part of speech, right? Sometimes, if you're not careful, you see a word and you assume that because you've known it to be maybe a conjunction, and you assume it's a conjunction. But in that context, in that text, that word is functioning as another part of speech. But if you don't know the meaning of part of speech, if you don't know the meaning of each of the parts of speech, you're going to find yourself in deep waters, very deep waters. All right, very deep waters. So poorly developed language skills can affect, in fact, it can change the whole mood for you, because you won't be able to move forward until you understand what that word is doing there. Are you following me? All right. So let me also say another factor that can affect comprehension, especially for students, is the instruction given. Sometimes you need to understand the instruction first before you proceed to comprehend the text. I'm telling you, this happens a lot. I've marked papers for terminal classes, for final year classes, and I see this happening a lot. The instruction is what you might need to understand first before you actually go to the text, so you know what exactly is expected of you. All right, let's see more factors. I'll just rush over this one. Um, well, like I mentioned the other time, factors here it can be affected, it can also be aided, all right? Okay, so your knowledge, that's you, the reader, your knowledge of the topic can affect comprehension. What do you know about it? If you don't know so much about the topic, you can struggle. And if you know so much, it's going to help you. All right. The language structures, I've mentioned that. All right. The text structures. All right. The genres. Is it fiction? Is it non-fiction? Is it tragedy? Is it tragicomedy? You know, is it drama? Is it okay? Cognitive and metacognitive strategies. That's how you learn. What are those strategies that helps you learn? All right, those strategies that you've put in place long before now can help you comprehend or affect the way you comprehend. All right, readers reasoning abilities, okay, the way you can, how fast you can reason, IQ, okay, your motivation, what motivates you when you're reading, and the level of motivation. Take for instance, you want to bore me. If you want to bore me with a text, give me a text that has to do with accounting, taxation, and all of that. Man, it's like you put me under pressure. I don't feel motivated reading all of those kind of texts. All right. Okay, another thing that can affect is the quality of the reading material. What's the quality like? Now, speaking from the angle of a writer, from the angle of someone who writes for people, I got a job some time ago to rewrite an article. Now, this article was written by an Indian. I mean, let me take a deep sigh again. I didn't know where to start from. I mean, The article was written in English, quite alright, but it was poorly written. And in order for me to rewrite it, I needed to understand what the article was saying. Do you get my do you get my situation at that time? I needed to understand what the article was saying before I could even rewrite it. But it was poorly written, so comprehension was not going to be made easy. So these are the factors that affect comprehension. All right. Let's go to the last slide on this model. Signs of comprehension difficulty. What are those things that tells you that this person has comprehension difficulty? What are those things that tell you that, oh, I have comprehension difficulty? All right. So the first thing is there's confusion about the meaning of words and sentences. The moment you're getting confused, you have to rack your brain a while before you can put the puzzles of words and sentences together. Okay, it might show that you have a little issue in that regards. All right, you might not be able to comprehend well. Inability to link ideas in a passage. Now this happens a lot, and it still bogs down, for me, from my observation, from my years of experience, this still bogs down to poorly developed language skills. When you can't link the ideas in a passage, you cannot tell when there's a negative there are two contrasting sentences. How do you identify a contrasting sentence? What are those conjunctions that have been used to indicate negation? Okay, I'll give you an example. When you see a sentence with but, however, it shows that there's a positive and a negative sentence in that paragraph. All right. So, um, inability to link ideas in a passage. Of course, you might also need to watch out for what we call transitional devices. We call certain things transitional devices. What they mean is we use them to link paragraphs. So when you see things like notwithstanding, nevertheless, okay, all of these are transitional devices. Okay, so when you miss out unconsciously, you miss out on important details in a text. It shows that you might have comprehension difficulty. And when you have difficulty distinguishing between major information from minor information, okay, this is a sign of comprehension difficulty. When you can't concentrate when you're reading, this is also a sign of comprehension difficulty. All right, this is the end of module 1. I might have to you might have to just scroll off the page so that you can join me in module 2. But I want you to know if you got value. I'll pause this video. I want to see your comments. I want to see your comments. I want to see your comment. What have you learned so far? What have you learned so far from this short minutes we've been together? I want to know what you've learned so far. Remember, we talked about what comprehension is, all right, and factors that affect comprehension and the signs of comprehension difficulty. I want to know what you've been able to discover so far. Please ask them in the comments box below. I want to read your questions. I'll see you in the next slide. Just scroll up. You see me up there. Bye for now.